everyone, it's good to see you back here on my channel. I'm Birgit from Koba.Siani. Welcome to another video for my dress and blouse pattern Leah. Here I'm wearing the mini dress option, but you can sew also Leah as a top like this here or a midi dress. And as you can see, also with different neckline views. Here I will link you the regular Leah sewing video with all the sewing steps and all you need to know about the pattern. In this video I'd like to talk about pattern adaptations. Of course I know that we are all different, but nevertheless I have to start somewhere, so I have to make my patterns with a standard measurement chart. I think a lot of people can find themselves there, but of course there are also many others who have such different measurements from the chart that they cannot find themselves there in any size. So here in this video I talk you through the pattern adaptation options you have, how you can adapt the Leah pattern in the width and length for your personal body shape. If I forgot something, please drop it in the comments and I'll make another video. If you now think the Leah is a very interesting pattern, you can get it of course in all my shops. The shop links you will find below this video here in the description box. But before we really start with the video, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up here on YouTube, subscribe to my channel. This helps me always a lot as a small creator. If you want to see more creative content from me, you can also follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram mainly. Okay, so now let's dive into the project. At first, let's talk about adjustments of the width of the garment. Normally, you would choose your size according to your chest width. But of course, this can be a little bit confusing if your measurements aren't all in the same size. In this first example or case, the chest measurement is size 42. Meanwhile, the hip and waist measurements are found in bigger sizes. Normally, the Leah pattern has enough ease to balance this, so you wouldn't have to do anything. But if you like to, you can also add a few centimeters parallel to the side seam of the skirt part. This alteration is marked in red here. In the second example, the hip measurement is smaller than indicated in the size you would choose according to your chest width. The waist is more or less in the size of the chest measurement or above. In this case, you can just pick your size according to the chest measurement and go ahead without any alterations. The additional width at the hips won't be too obvious as there is already a lot of width. In the third and last example, the waist is smaller than indicated in the size which you would choose according to your chest measurement. For a loose fit Leah, this is no problem at all, of course. But if you want to make a lacing and want to lace up the garment around your waist really tight, you should move the cutting line, the loop positions and the end of seam notch towards the center back. Let's say the difference between the waist measurement mentioned in the chart and your actual waist measurement is 4 cm. Then you divide this difference into 2. Then you get as a result how much you should move everything towards the center back. Again, this is here marked in red. Next, I'd like to talk about adjustments in the length. Means when you're a lot taller or shorter than the 168 cm. This is the body height with which I'm drafting my patterns. At first, the position of the waist seam should be adapted. Just as a reference, I'm 165 cm tall. You can just hold the prepared front pattern towards your body in front of a mirror. Then the side here, marked with a red arrow, should be around your waistline. If there's a difference, please measure it and note it. To adapt the pattern, you can now cut it horizontally in a right angle to the center front and center back. If you need more length, you can move now the pieces apart exactly for the amount you need. Please take care that you do this in a parallel way, exactly along the center front and back. For the other case, if you need less length, you move the pieces into each other, again along the center front and back, and in a parallel way. Like this, you reduce the length. In both cases, of course, you need to create a new side pattern piece by copying out of the front part, and you need to rearrange the loop positions. Both steps are explained in chapter 4 of this video. I'll add an extra timestamp so you don't need to watch the whole chapter. Additionally, it is probably necessary to adapt the skirt length. As this begins right at the waistline, it is easy to check the length in advance. If you're modifying the skirt length or not, in any case, it's really helpful to make a fit check before making the hem. So you can measure your desired skirt length in front of a mirror and adapt the pattern accordingly. All skirt length adaptations are made parallel to the original hemline, and here you mustn't forget the front part, which has also a section of the hem. With an FBA means full bust adjustment, something is done which already the name says. The pattern is given more width in the chest area. This is perfect for body types where the chest measurement doesn't fit to all the other measurements meets waist and hip. So the chest is more pronounced. So perhaps it also already happened to you that you put on a garment and you feel that the armhole doesn't fit, there is too less width here, or if you choose the bigger size, the shoulders are too wide and there's too much width in the back. So if you feel this is you, this is your pattern adjustment to go with. So as I've already mentioned a little bit, here the rule doesn't apply that you choose your size according to your chest measurement, but there's another method to choose the base size to make the pattern adjustment. You could now look up in the measurement chart if your waist and hip measurement are found in one specific size, so you could proceed with this size as a base size, but I feel it's almost a little bit safer to choose another method, which involves a little bit of calculating. Here you take your upper bust measurement. This is just above the bust here. Take care that, as always, the measurement tape is parallel to the ground, so really horizontal. Take this measurement and note it. Then, of course, you need your normal bust measurement here at the widest part of the body here. Again, the measuring tape has to be parallel to the ground. Then, of course, as always, your waist and hip measurements are needed. Additional to this, we need two more measurements. At first, the distance from bust apex to bust apex, here. And then the position of the bust apex in comparison to the highest shoulder point here. Normally you would measure this really right besides the neck here, but as the Leah pattern now has already a widened neckline, it's better to determine the position from here with a small distance from the real highest shoulder point. So you would measure this distance here, from this point to this point, and also note this. Then we can start to calculate. In this video I make the FBA again with the example measurements from Maike, so with real body measurements. This is the same person who also appears in my other FBA video for my t-shirt pattern Emma. If you haven't watched it yet, this might also be interesting for you, because here two different FBA methods are discussed, and both are for patterns which don't come with a chest dart. So at first we take the high bust measurement and add 5 cm to calculate an imaginary chest measurement with a cup size B. This is more or less the cup size for which patterns are normally drafted. Then we have a look at the measurement chart. And as you can see, with both the imaginary chest measurement and the hip width, the measurements are more or less size 48. The waist is a bit off, but this we will take care about later. Next, of course, we have to calculate how much width is missing. From size 48, we have now a bust measurement of 112 cm, but the real bust measurement is 116 cm. The difference between those two is divided by 2. As with patterns, we are always operating on the half of the width. So 2 cm is the width we have to add during the FBA now. For doing this, we need a few lines in the front part. At first, one coming from the armhole, just from somewhere in the lower third, to the dart end. The next line is the dart center here. This is also where the cutting line is for the side part. Then another line parallel to the center front, going downwards from the dart end point. And a last one somewhere here in a right angle to the center front. Then the pattern is cut open. At first you cut along the vertical line, then over the dart end point up to the armhole. But here you make sure that the pattern is still connected. Then you cut open the dart center, but here again at the dart end, you let the paper a tiny little bit connected. The third line you cut open completely. Then we need a straight line at the center front, another one parallel to the center front here, and a third, again parallel to the center front, with a distance of 2 centimeters to the previous line. The 2 centimeters are the calculated width which I should add, but of course this can be a completely different measurement in your case. Then the 2 sections at the right are moved to the right towards the side seam so that the paper edge meets the drawn line from before. The smallest section of the pattern is moving now downwards so that these 2 points here are on the same level. So we've added now the 2 centimeter width in the chest area, but also length, which is also needed over large chests. Now we are focusing on this area here at the lower edge, at the curve. At first you redraw the curve, just like it was before. That means that this small little corner is eliminated. Then to match the skirt part, the mark C also has to be moved back to the left. In my case, it's the 2 centimeter again. Then we redraw the dart. At first I'm measuring downwards from 1 centimeter within the pattern, means minus the seam allowance, the measurement which was noted before, the distance from the highest shoulder point to the bust apex. Then in a horizontal direction you measure the half of the distance between the 2 bust apexes. This was also noted before. And at this crossing point there is the new temporary dart end. Then also the dart sides can be drawn in. By the way, at the side seam the dart became bigger, but it still begins at the original points which are drawn into the original pattern. We need also the dart center. This is especially important later for the new side part. As darts don't look good when they begin or end, this depends how you see this directly on the bust apex. It is now shortened for 2 centimeters along the dart center. Then the final dart sides are drawn in. To make this very clear, here again on a sketch how the dart is shortened. Matching to the widening in the front part, also the front skirt has to be wider now. Please add here twice the measurement you've calculated for the FBA. In my case, this would be twice 2 centimeters, means 4 centimeters. This is added parallel along the side seam. But now back to the front part. Here some adaptations for the new side part have to be done. And for this we have a look at the waist measurements. We compare now the actual waist measurement with the waist measurement in the chart. Also, we've added width not only in the chest area, but also in the waist. But here we have to look at it as the double amount, means not 2 centimeters but 4 centimeters. Because here also we are looking at the whole circumference, not the half, as it's usual for patterns. I'm adding now the added width to the chart measurement. And then I see that it's smaller than the actual waist. Normally that would be bad, but in the case of the Leah pattern, this is good. Because this means it's possible to lace the dress tight to the body. When it's the other way around, that your actual waist measurement is smaller than the result from the chart measurement plus the added amount by the FBA, we can make now the adaptations so that the tight lacing is again possible. If you're planning a loose fit Leah, of course this doesn't matter to you. You can leave the pattern like it is now. Here now, of course, I'll show you what to do to make a tight lacing possible. So at first you add the chart measurement of the chest and the added width of the FBA. Then you subtract your actual waist measurement. And now let's just say as an example, this would be 6 centimeters. Then you would divide these 6 centimeters into 2, as we are back on the paper pattern. The result are 3 centimeter. These are split to the front and back part. As the FBA amount was 2 centimeter, I'd reduce 2 centimeter in the front and the rest 1 centimeter in the back. The 2 and the 1 centimeter are now the amounts of which the loop positions and cutting lines or seams are moved towards the center front and the center back. In the front part, you see this vertical line where the pattern should be folded away or cut for a Leah with side part. This line should be moved now for the 2 centimeter towards the center front. At the same time, you should take care that where the new vertical line meets the dart center, at this point there should be at least 1.5 centimeter distance between the dart sides. If it's less, not the full 2 centimeter are possible, and the rest should be added to the amount for the back part. But I think this will only be the case for some smaller sizes. In the back part, you take the marks for the cutting line, the loop notches and the mark for the end of the seam and move everything for 1 centimeter towards the center back. Unfortunately, the front part is not completely done yet, but the following steps are also part of the next chapter. I just add you a timestamp there where you should continue to finish the pattern pieces. Another thing you might like to change is not a problem of width, but the position of the dart. If the dart doesn't end at the right place, means too high or too low, this can look strange. But here's how we fix that. At first, we check the dart end position on the paper pattern. Just prepare the pattern, hold it to your body and stand in front of a mirror. Make sure that the center front is really at the center front and the shoulder point is more or less at the shoulder, but be aware of the seam allowance there. And then you mark your bust apex directly on the pattern. Now you can compare this marking to the original dart end point. But here we only look at the vertical measurement. For example, if your new point is 2 centimeter lower than the original dart point, you can move now the dart end 2 centimeter downwards. But again, only in a vertical direction, parallel to the center front. This point now is the new dart end. With this new dart end, the new dart can also be drawn in. Please draw in the dart sides as well as the dart center. This is also the point where you hop in to finish all the pattern pieces after the FBA. So in case you've did one, I'm also assuming that you have already moved the vertical cutting or folding line for the lacing towards the center front according to your calculations. If you only like to change your bust apex, this vertical line remains unchanged. So here are now in green the new cutting or folding lines for a Leah with lacing. At the top it's the new dart center and at the left it's the same vertical line like before, or in case of an FBA it might be a changed vertical line. Then the side seam at the dart is finished. For this you measure the upper side of the dart. This is step 1. Then you transfer this length to the lower side of the dart. This is step 2. Here you probably have to lengthen the dart side to the right. At this point you link with a curve to the original side seam. This is step 3. In the end you draw like a little roof on the dart. This is step 4. In case of the Leah, the accuracy is not that important because later we will anyways cut off the dart content. In case the difference between the upper and the lower dart sides is really high, you may also shorten one side and lengthen the other side. It's just important that both sides are equally long in the end. Then also the loop positions have to be adapted. Take care here that the highest loop is 1 centimeter below the dart side and the lowest loop is 1.5 centimeter above the paper edge. All other loops, 2 or only 1, are distributed equally between the highest and lowest loop position. Please also draw these loop positions quite long to the left. Then the new vertical outline for the new side part is drawn in. This is 2 centimeter at the left from the vertical line for the top part. But these 2 centimeter have nothing to do with the FBA. This is just because of the seam allowance. Both outlines have to have an overlapping of 2 cm here. So here again in color the new outlines. In red, the cutting of folding lines for the front part, and in green, the outlines for the new side part. At the top, both outlines run through the dart center. Then the new side part can be copied out of the top part. On the side part, we need the new notches for the loops and also the notch at the side seam for the dart. To do this, just take your adapted top part. Let's just pretend now I had done any adaptations. Then you take a piece of paper and pin it to the side part section. Then you turn the pattern piece around to the other side. And then you can already copy the lower edge and the side seam edge by cutting the new piece of paper along the outlines of your front pattern piece. The notch for the dart can also already be copied. To copy the lines within the pattern and the notches for the loop positions, everything can be held towards a window, which works like a big light box here. And with the light shimmering through, you will also see the lines on the original pattern that should be copied now. Now also the rest of the pattern can be cut, the notches can be marked, and of course don't forget to label your new pattern piece for the side part. And also mark the grain line, which runs parallel to the vertical edge at the left. Then at last, only the loop positions of the new side part have to be transferred to the back part. Simply place the side part pattern piece onto the back pattern piece to transfer the notches. By the way, the lowest notch doesn't change. Okay, that's it. We are through all the pattern adjustments which I could think of. As I've already told you, if I forgot something, just drop this adaptation in the comments. I hope I could help you with this video here to get a perfect fitting Leah dress or top, and perhaps some of the adaptations or infos also can help you with other patterns. Don't forget to like and to subscribe as always. I hope you're enjoying your Leah pattern. If you have any more questions or problems, drop them in the comments or write me to info@Koba.Siani.com. I hope to see you very soon again to my next video. Take care until then. Bye!